Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my Hell in a Cell 2014 review. The first match of the night is Dolph Ziggler versus Cesaro 2 out of 3 Falls match. I think this was a great match. Probably the second best match on the show. So Ziggler won with a clean streak, but I don't think this was damaging to Cesaro. If done correctly, they could use this to push the Cesaro even higher, and I do believe they're going to have another match together because they worked brilliantly together. It was superb. Okay, moving on, I have an apology to make. Next match was Brie versus Nikki Bella, and they were better than I was expecting. It wasn't a complete disaster. They were quite good. The only negative thing I have to say about it was the way Brie was yelling. I don't think she's quite got down yelling the way she's supposed to do it. The way all people are supposed to do it is you slowly build up to it in a way that it's clearly obvious that you're going to start yelling. Then of course you yell, and then the crowd can yell with you, get right behind you, and then hit it. She was just yelling and it was kind of out of place and mistimed, but the actual wrestling itself was good, and for a Divas match it was really good. But for these two, top marks. That being said, they had a bit of a segment later on in the show because of course Nikki won the match, and they had a bit where she throws a smoothie over Brie's head, and it was very bad, that part. So I've decided that these two can work well together in a match situation, but they still can't get the whole promos down. They're still terrible at that, and they're awkward. But in the ring, this match was actually pretty good. So let's see what they're going to do next month, because with Brie being a personal assistant all month, you know there's going to be a return match. Next was the Tag Team Championship match, the Usos versus Golden Stardust. They work well together. Of course it was a good match. There have been good matches so far, but I think that they should have a bit of a rest now, because I've got a bit of an idea. It's a long shot. I reckon if you get WrestleMania match, the Usos and Rikishi versus Golden Stardust and Dusty Rhodes, I think that'd be a great match. Then you've got the young guys that can do all the work, and you've got the legends to rope people in and watch the show. So I think that would be very good. But Golden Stardust won the match and kept the titles, so yeah, it was a great match. Next, the number one contendership Hell in a Cell match between Randy Orton and John Cena. Right, let's begin with the biggest problem I have with this match, which was actually the commentary. Yeah, it had nothing to do with Orton or Cena. Right, first things first, I know this is technically my opinion, but John Cena's greatest rivalry was with Edge, not Randy Orton. I know both Cena and Orton are still in the company together, and Edge has gone over to Haven, a great show, you should watch it by the way. But what Randy Orton and Cena has is nothing compared to what Cena and Edge had. It was a great rivalry. I know I'm an Edge fanboy, but still. That being said, Randy Orton's greatest rivalry was with Triple H, so neither guy's greatest rivalry is with the other. They've just fought each other far too many times. Okay? We understand each other? Right. The next problem I have is when Randy Orton reversed the attitude adjustment with an RKO. First off, I'll tell you the problem with the commentary on that one. They said, hey, I've never seen that done before, ignoring the fact it was shown in the vignettes before the match. That reversal was shown. Now the problem with the move itself. Randy Orton is still getting hit by the full effect of the attitude adjustment. Yes, he's bringing Cena down with him by hitting the RKO, but the force he hits the ground is exactly the same. So why would it not affect him? That move should take both guys out and then them kind of crawl up and get up and then crawl and get back to their feet. They shouldn't then have Randy Orton pop up and go for the cover. So yeah, it's a good move. It's a great move actually, but the psychology behind the selling needs work. As for the match in general, it was a good match. It was okay. Good's a bit strong. An okay match. But that being said, the first time they were in Hell in a Cell, it was an okay match as well. What was going to make this match any different? It was just the same stuff they've already done with each other again. So no more Cena versus Orton matches. Cena won the match, which of course means we have another Cena and Brock Lesnar match. Okay, I guess with the ending of the last one, but this should be the last, and I reckon now is when Orton turns babyface and goes against Seth Rollins. So yeah, it was okay. Next match was The Miz versus Sheamus for the United States Championship, and yet again I have another problem with the commentary. The commentators were too busy talking about Damien Sandow, or Damien Mizdow, or Mizdow, or whatever you want to call him, on the edge of the ring, acting like a prat, than actually calling the match. I know they're not very good at calling the match, but still, it is better that they talk about the two in the ring actually doing stuff than the guy throwing himself about on the ring, outside the ring, like The Miz. That's kind of a bit, yeah, we can see him in the background, maybe bring it up once, but not talk about it constantly. That being said, I did like the look on the face of The Miz when the Mizdow's awesome chant started. I just thought that was hilarious. It was like, oh for fuck, there's me in this ring working my ass off against Sheamus, and he is well known for being as stiff as a brick, and they're chanting for the guy throwing himself around outside the ring. I can understand that Miz is pissed, but that just shows you that Sandow's over. If they can cheer for him doing that, put him in the ring, get him in a match against The Miz to completely clear this whole thing up. Put Sandow going against The Miz, not The Miz turning against Sandow. So he seems stronger. Then you can build him with maybe go for a United States or an Intercontinental Championship match. Give him the belt, let him be built. I think it'd be brilliant. I think they should have another rematch, Miz and Sheamus, where Miz wins, and then that's how they do it, because him going against Sheamus I don't think would have the same effect, but going against the Miz, that would be more effective, I think. But yeah, Sheamus won the match. Then at the end of the match, Sheamus picked up the Miz and dropped him and watched Sandow copy the actions of the Miz, because obviously he got bro kicked, so he was unconscious, so he could pick up the Miz's arm and dropped it, and Sandow's arm, he lifted it up and dropped it. Then of course he picked up the Miz and dropped the Miz, and Sandow did the same thing, so Sheamus picked up the Miz and started doing the YMCA with the Miz, and Sandow did the same thing. This was okay for one time. It was slightly amusing, I did chuckle a little, but if they make this a constant occurrence, it's gonna be overkill. Don't do this anymore. Just one time. Next match was the Divas Championship match, AJ Lee versus Paige. AJ Lee retained. It was okay. Divas match, okay, not bad. And at the end, Paige turned on Alicia Fox. Oh well, wasn't bothered about Alicia. I don't think she's any good anyway. And with Alicia doing this whole crazy girl gimmick, she hasn't got anything on the other two. She's just, yeah, 3 crazy girls on the roster is a bit too much. So I would like it if Alicia disappeared for a little bit, preferably for quite a big bit, because as I said, she's no good. But if she was to come back, then forget the whole crazy girl thing and give her another gimmick that maybe isn't a crazy girl or a bitch or the girl next door, because that's all 3 of the gimmicks that you've got as a diva. Oh, my apologies, I just looked at the notes and it appears I skimmed over the Big Show and Rusev, but that being said, it was a pretty match. I will say it's the best match Rusev has had so far. It's better than his average match, but it wasn't any good. It was the worst match on the card by far. But that being said, Rusev had improved. Whether this is an improvement or he just works well with a Big Show, let's wait and see. But it was a better match, but still the worst match on the card. Next, I'm going to do something I haven't done before and actually comment on an advert they had. They had an advert for WWE Rivalries. This looks like a good show. I'm going to be watching it on the network. I have the network, and I'm going to give it a look because it looks pretty good, and this seems like the type of show they need to put on the network, rather than these pre-shows and after-shows that are just there to fill up the network and to fill time for whatever reason. This seems more like the sort of thing they should be putting their attention into. And finally, the Hell in a Cell match between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Wow, I said it, didn't I? That if anyone could push the Hell in a Cell as close as they can get without breaking that PG rating, it's these two. They started the match at the top of the cell, which again, the commentators pissed me off. I actually wrote down the quotes. As I said, they started at the top of the cell, and Michael Cole said, "Have you ever seen a match start this way, John?" JBL said, "No." Let me think. You're right. I've never seen a Hell in a Cell match start with both guys standing on top of the cell. Oh, hang on a minute. There was only the most famous Hell in a Cell match of all time, if not one of the most famous matches of all time, The Undertaker vs Mankind in Hell in a Cell. That seemed to start at the top of the cell, which again was in their damn vignettes. I get they were trying to build it as something massive, which it was, but don't take away from one of the greatest matches of all time to do it. It's stupid. But putting that aside, both men fell off of the edge of the cell. They didn't fall off the top like Mick, but they would never get away with doing that anymore. I understand that. Off the side was a compromise. You weren't going to get off the top, but of course this was both men doing it. So that was kind of, it hasn't been done before. HBK did it, but the two guys, no. But the whole putting them on the stretcher and then getting off the stretcher and then throwing him inside the cell was a bit predictable. And again, going back to the Mick Foley Undertaker match, but the greatest thing about that was Mick Foley got off himself. He didn't get dragged off, but yeah, it wasn't never going to be recreated that moment. So it was also nice to see a few different weapons in the match. There was a screwdriver at some point. Yeah, I know he missed, but again, he's not going to use a screwdriver because you can't use a screwdriver on someone without busting them open unless you hit them with it with like the handle instead of the point. But yeah, but it was just nice to see something different than a kendo stick, a steel chair and a table. So good job on that. The only problem I have with this match was the finish. Yes, it was nice to see Bray Wyatt return. Yes, he had to return in a high stakes situation, but this match needed a clean finish. I think the way they should have done it was Dean Ambrose wins the match, then as they raise Dean Ambrose's arm and put a full stop at the end of the Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins rivalry, then the lights go out and the weird chanting goes on, and then he gets attacked by Bray Wyatt. I think that would be a much better way of doing it, building all the guys in the match. I think if they just waited another 5 minutes to get that bit in, it would be more effective. But as it was a bit, give us a proper finish. As for the whole event, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of the best pay-per-views I've had in a long time. I would give it a 9 out of 10. They might have got a 9.5, and I know I don't like doing that. They might have got it if it wasn't for that finish. But yeah, 9 out of 10. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, please like, favourite, subscribe. Comment below if you disagree with anything I've said. Share it with whoever you think would like it. It would be greatly appreciated. I am the Food. Thanks for listening.